All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and happy Thursday. We are one day closer to the weekend, which for us means absolutely nothing because we work several days a week. Well, every day of the week. Um, but welcome. Thank you very much for joining us on part two of the three-part installment of this Facebook Live event. I have, for those of you who were here last time, welcome back. It is always nice to see repeat faces out there and being engaged by everything. So this is wonderful. If you weren't able to view the first one, feel free to go back. It is posted on our Facebook page. Just go under the videos. If you post any comments or questions or anything like that, I promise I will reply to them in the comments below. So if you have any comments, feedback, stories of sharing, I am always happy to share my stories of embarrassment to help my fellow professionals avoid it themselves. So please use my life lessons as your own. So today we're going to go over some of the myths that I constantly encounter in the industry. These are items that have caused me hiccups in the past when it comes to when it comes to everyday life in the industry. So just be aware, for those of you who weren't here last time, be aware that there is about a 20 to 30-second delay from when I talk to when you hear me. So, well, hello from the past. But if you do post any comments or questions, which I very, very much encourage, this isn't just about me, it's about all of you. And I truly believe that the more people see the common difficulties, the better it sticks and the more resounding it is. So ask questions, tell us your stories, give me your feedback. I want to know how this applies to other professionals. You know, I don't want to feel so lonely. I'm sure you guys don't want to feel so lonely either. So take part, enjoy it. All right. Let's start out with the first myth. And this is a myth that I encounter constantly, and it drives me absolutely nuts. That myth is usually said in the interview process, and that is, we want you to be a part of the family. Well, I'm sorry. You know, it is a novel thought. I mean, how wonderful would it be to finally find a family to work for where you feel like Tony Danza or you feel like Mr. Belvedere. You know, you're a part of the family. You're ingrained into the whole thing. Well, I got to be honest with you. There's a reason why it is on TV. It's because it's fiction. I'm sorry. I know that this isn't a great graphic for it, but it's the best one I could think of for this situation because it's absolutely it's misleading. It's false. The biggest pushback that I have on this topic does come from private service professionals, and it's inevitably, it's always the nanny. And I'm sure Kelly Garris can attest to this, is that, you know, at the end of you are a nanny, so you are really entwined with the fabric of the family. You're more entwined with the fabric of the family than most other private service professionals. Let me share a story from my past. I had a principal. It was my second job in the industry. Interview was wonderful. We spent 2 hours around the dinner table talking and really being comfortable with each other. And they had mentioned it several times. We want you to be a part of the family. We want you to be a part of the family. And I bought into it, hook, line, and sinker. So I start the job. A few months later, all of a sudden, you know, they start talking about wanting a dog. Great. Mrs. goes to the store one day, comes home with a big bin of dog biscuits, and we're helping her unpack. We're getting everything situated. I see the dog biscuits, and I say, "Oh, hey, how cool. I see Mister's been a good boy lately." She laughed, I laughed, we all laughed, we joked about it. Everybody seemed to find it funny. So Mr. comes home later that day, and everybody's in the kitchen. We're preparing dinner, getting everything set. They're there, they're catching up on their day, and Mrs. shows him the dog biscuits that she bought for him. I said, well, hey, it went over the first time. Let's Mr. join in the funny. So I told Mr. again, or I said it again. So, Mr., I see you've been a good boy lately. She got you some biscuits. Oh boy. I was not expecting the response that I got. Mrs.'s face turned 180 degrees from happy-go-lucky to this absolutely mortified person, and looked me dead in the eye and said, how dare you ever talk to my husband that way? I was like, whoa, hello. That really caught me off guard. And it taught me that valuable lesson that no matter how close you are, no matter how much you want to be, you're not going to be a part of the family. I mean, think about this. What if the family files for bankruptcy? All their money is gone. They don't have any more funds. And are they going to keep you employed? Are they going to still help you put a roof over your head? Okay. After they stop paying you, are you going to still show up for work every day? Most likely not. You got to find a job. Ask yourself, are you in the will? You're probably not in their will. Last will and testament, with the exception of, here is a severance pay. We hope you have a wonderful life. Now, I'm not saying that the principles are malicious. I'm just saying that this is a job. Plain and simple. You are not there to be a part of the family. Also, if you quit, or if you are fired or laid off, are you going back? Are you going back to say hello to the family? Are you part of, are you going to have coffee with her in the morning? Most likely not, no. They probably won't. They'll probably stop returning emails, the whole 9 yards. And, and the reason for that is, and Starkey really put this best, is her phrase is, you are in the home, not of the home. And those two emphasized words are very important, in and of. Any home I go into, I am in the home, I am working, but I am not of the home. Because as soon as I leave, the only time they remember that I was there is if they find something that wasn't done, or they find a piece of luxury that I left behind for them to enjoy. So let's be honest with each other. They're paying for you to be there. You're not doing them any favors. You are only doing your job. That is that. It is, as much as you want to sit there and hold on to the belief that you're truly a part of the family, reality is that you're not. You're just not a part of the family. All right. Next myth I want to talk about is the myth that a lot of educational institutes of ours in our service try to wrap you into. They try to tell you that with a set of procedures in place, everything will operate efficiently and effectively. Hell, boy, do I got a surprise for you. There was my beautiful wife and I were walking into work one day, and it was in a penthouse apartment. We were just going in. Mr. and Mrs. had left, so we were going in to take down the day's or the week's items. We're going to strip the beds, just basically do a shutdown of the home since they weren't going to be there for a while. So I'm there, I'm punching the codes into the keypad to open up the glass doors. I enter it a couple of times, and for some reason it's just not working, and I can't figure out why. So I do it one more time, and as soon as I hit that pound button, we both hear this loud boom. Rachel immediately looks over at me, and I look over at her. I have no idea what it is, and then all of a sudden, water is gushing down on our heads. It was a sprinkler system rupture. They were testing the sprinkler system in the building. When they kicked on the pump, it sent a sonic wave up through the risers and basically shattered the PVC pipes that were directly above our heads. dumping hundreds and hundreds of gallons of water into the unit. So if you think that I went in there with a plan, I absolutely did. Was that plan at all executed that day? Yes, amongst other things. So basically what I'm getting at is that while there is simply no place for rigidity in our industry, because it doesn't work, you do need to have some of your ducks in a row, a general game plan. And I think this is probably one of the reasons why we enjoy what we do so much, is that unknown, that poop factor that we all get to enjoy and experience. And it's what keeps us on our toes. So just remember, there's no place for rigidity. No, you can over-engineer a plan to death, and I promise you, you will still miss stuff. You're going to get sidetracked. You never day your day, obviously, as you could tell by my story of the sprinkler rupture, it's never going to go as planned. It just, never schedule yourself an 8-hour day. One of the things that we talk about in my Essentials course is the checklists and the how-to documents, and making sure you come up with a plan to ensure everything is taken care of. Well, we'll get you 80% there. The last 20%, well, that's up to you and you flying by the seat of your pants. So in our Essentials class, we do teach you how to make checklists. And on these checklists, I tell you, never schedule yourself an 8-hour day, because if you schedule yourself for 8 hours, you're going to be working for 10. If you schedule yourself for 6 hours, you'll be working for 8, and you'll still have time to do your paperwork when you get home if you need to log anything or do any of the mundane tasks that we all hate. So it is a wonderful industry, but the surprising is that part of that joyous. Now, this all has to do with change. This is a phrase that I thought up a while back that speaks to me a lot, is that without change, we become stagnant. And with stagnation comes decay. Change is inevitable. Embrace it and grow. And with growth comes improvement. So if it is something that you could have prevented before, absolutely learn from it, accept it. But most of these issues are something that are going to be uncontrollable, that come to you out of left field. This is why we do what we do. We don't want to go into an office and stare at the same computer screen every day and punch in the same lines of code every day. It's not in our genetic makeup as a private service professional. All right, our next myth is the myth of the job description. Yes, the job description. Now, this is one of those topics, or I'm sorry, the job description is a great guideline. It's going to help you identify some of the basics that are expected of you in the job. But if I asked for a job description that encompassed everything that was required of me, I will tell you one thing, and that is that it would be a 5-inch 3-ring binder filled front to back with all the tasks that a private service professional does on a regular basis. So the job descriptions are good guides to help you better understand what it is that is going to be expected of you on a day in and day out basis. Don't use it as biblical prophecy. Nothing annoys me more than an employee that says, well, that's not my job, or that's not on my job description. Well, if that's the way you feel, then I have another reason for you to find a different job. It's just that it's a great guideline, but that's about it. So the question does remain, though, what is my job? What is the best job description for me? So I came up with basically a short, one sentence job description. And that job description is whatever it takes to ensure the smooth operation of the service environment for which I am responsible, and I will reach across when others need assistance. That is your job. Your service environment could be the whole house. It could be outside. It could just be the housekeeping component. It could be just the nanny work. It could be just the PA work. But I am going to reach across when others need help. Nanny doesn't feel good. Well, guess what? Nanny, go home. I've got this. Recoup, rest, come back better. We talked about last week, we talked about the relationship with the staff. Well, this is part of that relationship. This is what's going to get you the most work out of the people under you or with you. I can't tell you how many times my beautiful wife has stepped in to help out with something. Oh, she needs, Mrs. asked me to go and run this to FedEx and go over here. Rachel says, you know what? Don't worry about it. I've got it. You deal with the in-house stuff. I've got to go get groceries. I'll make these 2 stops as well. And it's vice versa. It is about a symbiotic relationship for the principal. It's all our job, everything under that roof. So the question is, you know what, how much of everything is my job? Well, there's only one answer out there for this. That's 100%. It's all your job. Everything that is within that service environment is your job. Maintaining happy staff is also your job, whether you are in a supervisory position or not. Any of these, while I do talk mostly about being in a supervisory position, it is just purely based on what my experience is. But that doesn't mean it can't be lateral. It can be a lateral helping, a lateral move to help each other out. Again, this is a symbiotic relationship of us for them. You know, the last tidbit, it's not a myth, but it kind of is. And this is definitely one that is easier said than done. While we have an incredibly personal job, what happens in the job or in the home is not personal to you. So, and this is my favorite graphic of all of these, is, of course, don't be a crybaby. Don't get your feelings hurt at every turn. Remember, we are in this for the professional. I was working at a ranch house up in New York, and the mister always insisted on having fresh cut flowers and plants in his in all of the arrangements. He didn't want anything store-bought. So I would go out, and every week before they would come up, I would go make my clippings, do my arrangements, and make sure everything is beautiful. Well, in the dead of winter in New York, that there's not much anything growing. So one weekend I went out, and I actually just went to the grocery store. I bought some pops of color, and I put them in a few discrete places around the house. Well, Mr. saw this, and I can tell you one thing, he was none too happy. I basically had to catch one of the vases and remove the rest because he knew they were store-bought flowers and they weren't off the property. Now, I could sit here and go boo-hoo-hoo, he didn't like my arrangements, yada, yada, yada. Well, when it's not personal to me, or it's not personal against me. It is personal, but it's personal on him, his particular proclivities. Now, he may have been in a bad mood, he may have had a bad week, but again, it's not personal to me. It is, but again, it's hard to accept when you put your heart and, the true drive to make someone happy. You put your heart into it, you put your soul into it, and when they kick that back to you, it's difficult not to feel slighted or hurt. Another example of this not being personal. Every Monday you walk in, or after a couple days off, they ask, how are you? How was your weekend? This is a tough question to answer because it's not as straightforward as it sounds. They care, but there's bigger fish to fry. So when they ask you, how was your weekend? How was your day? How was your time off? I keep it very quick, clean, and uncluttered. I had a wonderful weekend. Everybody is incredibly happy. I am well rested and ready to go. What would you like to tackle first? Because at the end of the day, simply put, they care, but it is unimportant how little Johnny did in his football game or baseball game, or that Susie has been sick all weekend, so you've been up every night with her. It's a terrible thing, but it doesn't impact them directly, or shouldn't impact them directly. So again, just find canned answers, redirect the conversation to work. Again, it's not personal. Don't cross that magic line that we talked about, that Charles McPherson magic line that we talked about in Tuesday's session. This is a prime example of that. If you ever do feel that you are getting too personally hurt by something, here's another Starkeyism. Whose agenda are you on? Ask yourself that simple question, and then all of a sudden you're going to realize, I am no longer on their agenda. I am on my own agenda. My feelings are hurt by this, so that means I am taking it personally. I am not putting myself in their shoes. If you ever do have a really bad day, and they will happen, and it's just a fact of life, I want you to remember one person. And this is a story that my stepdad told me a long time ago when I was 15 years old, and no need for you to know how long ago that was, but it was a while. The story is of Mr. Tsutomu Yamaguchi. And I'm going to paste that name so you can actually Google it if you want it. I'm going to paste it in the comments section here so you can take a look at who it is. But in a nutshell, that is on August 6th of 1945, Tsutomu was in Hiroshima on business for his employer, Mitsubishi Heavy Industries. Well, any of those history buffs out there, or those of you who paid attention in high school history, on August 6th of 45 is when the United States dropped the first bomb on Japan, which was in Hiroshima. Now, Mr. Yamaguchi was 3 kilometers, it's about 1.5 miles, 3 kilometers from the epicenter, from where the bomb dropped. The next day, he went home. He survived. He went home. Unfortunately for him, his home was in Nagasaki. And at 8:15, again, what happened? 3 kilometers away, the United States drops the second nuclear bomb on Japan. The following day, this man still went back to work. He showed up to work with his notes burned over a great part of his body, deaf in one ear, and he still showed up for work. I don't know about you guys, but I have never had that much drive to show up for work. I love my job, but there are days where it's, I'm sorry, I can't go into work. Unfortunately, being in our industry, we don't have that ability to just randomly call out because we don't feel like it. It's part of why we do what we do, because we are so dependent on. But just remember, Mr. Tsutomu Yamaguchi, when you're having a really tough time, he's going to be the one to remind you that, you don't have it that bad. Of course, there are many modern day stories that we could look at. People who don't have jobs, people who are struggling day in and day out. Well, you know what? At least you have something to go to. So just remember, whose agenda are you on? Also remember, all of it is your job. From stem to stern, from beginning to end, 100% of Mr. and Mrs.'s happiness and living environment is your responsibility. Also, you're going to have difficulties. You're going to have obstacles. Things are going to come out of left field for you, and you're not going to know what to do. Embrace it and thrive with it. And then the last part that we talked about that you need to remember is that you're not a part of the family. You're going to a job every day. And as much as I want to sit here and tell you that, no, they really treat you like a part of the family. I just got done with a 6-year contract with a family. Actually, I got done back in November. And I heard that same phrase out of Mrs.'s mouth. We feel like you are part of the family. And as wonderful as it feels, anybody know how many times I have spoken to Mrs. since the end of November when my wife and I left? Well, I'm not going to sit here for 60 seconds to wait for everybody to answer. I'm going to tell you, I haven't. I haven't had coffee with her. I haven't had a drink with her. I've spoken with Mr. a couple of times, but that was always to iron out details of severance and transition. So, again, you're not a part of the family no matter how close you feel. And for today, that is actually all we're going to cover. Again, as I said, I want to make this night bite-sized pieces for everybody to be able to enjoy, put down, pick up, and continue on with. Don't forget to tune in next Tuesday. That's on March 12th at 1 p.m. for the final session of this Facebook Live 3-part event. If there is stuff that you want to know about, please tell me. I want to know what it is that I can create another PowerPoint on that you think is going to impact the industry, instead of me just kind of coming up with stuff that I feel always impacts the industry. So if there's something you really feel is important, then reach out to me and let me know. I'm happy to include it. But for now, I've got the additional session next Tuesday at 1 p.m. again. This video, along with any comments that people have, will be a part of it. If you have any questions or, again, input as to these topics, leave them here. Let's keep the conversation going. The more we talk to each other, the more we don't feel so alone, and the more the better we feel about what we are doing. Also, if you like what you're hearing and you like what's being covered, we do go deeper into these topics in my Essentials class, which is the Essentials of Household and Estate Management. Now, this class was designed with the intent of teaching private service professionals how to write a manual, how to write an estate manual. I've just posted a link to our website that will show you what everything that is involved. And I hope you can join us. It is March 30th and 31st here in Dallas, Texas. I don't have the location 100% yet. I'm still working with the hotels, but that will be posted. Again, nothing better than bite-size, approachable education for our industry. It's needed. So thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to spend with us. I really do appreciate it. I love seeing people here. I love seeing people that want to learn more, and sometimes not even learn more, but just reinforce what it is that you already know, and truly understand what this beautiful and wonderful industry is. So again, you have my information right there. It's solutions@vanrider.com. My phone number, that is my cell phone number, so you're feel free to text me if you like. I've actually got my phone open right next to me, and if you want to text, say hi. I'd love to say hi and hear from you. And I will see you next Tuesday at 1 o'clock as well. I hope that everybody has a fantastic weekend. And don't forget to take a minute to remind yourself how wonderful of a job it is that you truly, truly have and what you get to do. Thank you very much again for joining us. We'll see you next Tuesday.